Now I'm ready to pipe my choux paste. So I have a piping bag here. I have a large star tip. This is number 828. I have a half sheet pan. I have a sheet of parchment ready as well. So to fill my bag, I'm going to fold the top over so that this edge stays nice and clean. Fill with my choux paste. Okay. Down. Make sure you squeeze any air pockets out of that bag so that those don't come out and surprise you. And then you're going to squeeze this down and then twist up here at the top so that when you're holding your piping bag, you're gonna pinch here at the top so that the rest of your hand is around the bag. That way you're not holding it way up at the top and you're squeezing for everything you're worth, but you're barely getting anything out. So good rule of thumb anytime we're using a piping bag. I am going to just do a little dot of Pate choux in the corners. This is going to help keep my parchment in place while I'm piping. So when I am making eclairs, my goal is to have nice even thickness tubes that I am piping. So I'm going to look for something that's about 3 inches in length. So I'm going to hold the bag at a 45-degree angle and I'm going to give a nice steady pressure. When I'm ready, just stop squeezing and pull up. So you have a little bit of a tail coming off the end, but we are going to fix that before these bake. Okay, so now to fix all of these little ends, I have some water here and I just touch that my finger in there, let the excess drip off, and then you can come and give just a little touch to these. So any points that you have that are sticking up, you want to get those smoothed out. Otherwise what happens is as these bake and they get very crisp, those little points will bake very hard, and when you're eating them, it's really unpleasant to bite into that. And also it makes it difficult for the decorating because you have this piece of choux that's sticking up, so it's hard to get nice smooth decorations. Now I'm going to do the same pan preparation for profiteroles. I am going to switch tips and I'm going to use a large plain tip for that. For my profiteroles, I'm using number 805 plain tip. So when we're piping profiteroles, we are going on the smaller side for these. So a profiterole is a smaller version of a cream puff. It's something that should be able to be eaten in 1 to 2 bites. So when I'm piping these, I'm going to be, let me see, get back here, yes, straight up and down, and oops, straight up and down, and I'm just holding until I get a nice size. Stop your pressure and then just lift straight up. Okay. So I'm going just over 1 inch in diameter. And profiteroles freeze really well. So it's something that after they're baked, you can put these in the freezer in just a Ziploc bag and then let them thaw at room temperature, and then you can just give them a quick refresh in the oven, 350 degrees for about 3 to 4 minutes, and you can have beautiful profiteroles or eclairs that are now ready to fill. Get some in the corners just so that's even. And now I'm going to take my damp finger and just touch down tops of these again. Now to help with that really smooth surface, I am going to use sifted powdered sugar on top. So I'm just gonna hold this up above and just give this a tap until I have a nice coating all over the top of my choux paste. Alternately, you could use pan spray on top, but I really like the little extra bit of flavor that you get from the powdered sugar. So I'm just doing about 2 coats on here. You'll see it start to be absorbed by the choux paste. And just for, so we can see the difference in these, I'm going to use some pan spray on top of my eclairs. Okay, so now these are ready to go in a 350-degree oven. The very important thing about pâte choux is when you put it in the oven, you cannot open the oven door until these are at least 3/4 of the way baked through. If you open the door early, the cold air will come in and will collapse whatever you are baking. Our goal when we have for pâte choux is that they are completely hollow on the inside, so there actually is a space for the filling to go. So you need to use the window on your oven and use your recipe as a guide for how long you should have these in the oven, and making sure that you're communicating really well with everyone else in the kitchen to not open that oven so that you don't damage your choux products. Once they collapse, there's no recovery for that, so we need to be extra careful that we're getting these baked all the way through. So the recipe says 45 to 50 minutes, I believe. So I'm not even going to think about opening the oven door until 45 minutes have passed. So these are my eclairs that I use the pan spray on. So they really do have a beautiful smooth top. You can see darkness variations from the tip that we used, but the surface itself is quite smooth. To check for doneness, so I have one that I sacrificed, so you can see how beautiful and hollow that is inside. So I'm just going to just touch the interior after about a minute, and as long as it's not eggy, these are done. So they are a little dark, I think because I had to put them on the upper rack in my oven. The profiteroles which I had below are not this dark, so I think that was just the variation in baking. These are my profiteroles after they have come out of the oven. So a little bit milder color on these, since in the oven they were actually positioned below my tray of eclairs, so not quite as dark on the color. The one thing that is interesting, I'm not sure if you can see it from the picture, but there's actually a slight shine on these from the powdered sugar that my eclairs did not have when I used the pan spray. So I think if you're going to be having a finished product that is not going to be glazed with ganache, the sifting of the powdered sugar is a better way to go. It's a nicer visual appearance on there.